Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
What? Split it.
Space.
Oh,
It's okay. I don't mind it.
someone has to get that then.
Yes.
I'll do it for it. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا ومن يهده فلا هادي له من يهده فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Technology has always progressed a lot. 2024, we have AI, we have virtual reality, we have, each of us have at least 2-3 devices with us all the time. But what can we do with it? Let me share a few examples of what other people are doing. A lot of people are promoting their ideas through technology. For example, let me share an example of the TV show House. So it's a very popular TV show, and a lot of people like it. And it's a show about a dude that's like he's a surgeon, and every single day he does one of the most impossible surgeries on all the people that come through. But the thing is, that's the main theme of the TV show. But in the background, what he does is, in each episode, this surgeon, he's an atheist, right? So in each and every episode, they have clever script written in such a way that, like, he makes fun of all the other religions. He tries to make points of how, God, religion, all of that doesn't make sense. And all of this is like subtle, every here and there, maybe every 30 minutes he makes a comment, and then like it kind of makes sense in a TV show. And this TV show is like so popular, millions of people have watched it, and it's one of the top rated TV shows as well. So what happens is, like, nowadays, all of us, how do we consume content? Where do we get our information from? When we look at our fathers and our previous generations, they used to read newspapers, and then after that, now they used to watch TV channels. But then this generation, how do we consume content? Reels, anything as short as possible, right? Anything beyond 10 seconds, it's hard for us to comprehend. So that's how we consume our content. We need to, realize this and change with the times in order to spread Islam as well. A lot of religions, they are launching their own movies, own TV shows, and all of this, yes. But they're not doing it like very directly. The main preface is, they have a story, they have a very captivating story, and then in the background, they kind of put elements of some lessons from their religion, or like some lessons from their ideology, and then they spread it across. And people nowadays, they prefer to consume and watch content and learn from that, compared to the traditional methods, which is reading a book or like listening to podcasts Podcasts, yes, there are a lot of people that listen to podcasts, but again, it's not as many. It's the population that listen to podcasts, not as much as the people that are on Instagram or like go to the theaters, movies, things like that. So what I'm trying to say is like we as Muslims, we also need to think of such innovative ways in order to package and spread Islam in such avenues within halal means. So, for example, I heard this from a pretty famous Islamic speaker, Nouman Ali Khan. He was like, you know what if we make a movie about four people, four Muslims, from different aspects of life, but for some reason, they all were caught by the police and they all were sent to the same prison cell. One is a jihadi. He was convicted of jihadi, like he was actual militant. Another was an activist, a social activist, but just trying to gather people in order to make Islam, like for example, there are countries where they have banned the hijab. So this person was trying to undo that by rising against the government, and he was thrown into the same jail, same cell by the police. The third person is like an innocent person. He did nothing, but he's a very good Muslim. He spent his entire life, memorizing Quran and reciting Quran, all of his life in the Quran, like in the mosque, and he was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and he got caught and he got in. And then there's another dude. He's just Muslim because his parents told him that he's Muslim. He's just a normal school kid or like university kid like us, watches movies. So all these four people, they have their own idea of Islam or Muslim. And what happens if they're all put in the same prison cell? Imagine all the conversations they have, their versions of Islam. Imagine we have a TV show about this. Each episode, each of them has like their own version of Islam that they're trying to speak. They're trying to convince the other that no, this is right. No, this is right. That would be interesting to watch, right? So these are like ways that we need to think of, because as the times change, as the way people consume content change, we also need to adapt accordingly in order to spread dawah, spread Islam. So also this method, it's not just a suggestion, it's also like mentioned in the Quran. Like for example, Surah Al-Adiyah, the first 5 verses of Surah Al-Adiyah, وَالْعَادِيَاتِ دَبْحًا فَالْمُورِيَاتِ قَدْحًا فَالْمُغِيرَاتِ صُبْحًا فَأَثَرْنَ بِهِ نَقْعًا فَوَسَطْنَ بِهِ جَمْعًا. The meaning is just these 5 verses. It's like an opening scene of an action movie. It in the Quran literally says there's a horse. It's a horse that's like raging through the battlefield, and while it's raging, the Quran just doesn't mention the horse. It also says how fierce it's running. When it's running, its hoof is like rubbing against the ground. It like sparks are flying everywhere, and it like jumps straight into the battlefield. So it's like a scene, right out of a movie, like how Fast and Furious is. Cars jumping and crashing and like bursting. So imagine back then, these 5 verses, there's no other meaning other than this. So like, why did Allah, reveal that? One reason could be to capture the attention of the people that are, reading and reciting. Back in the days, literature, poems, all of this was a huge thing. That it was a way to capture attention. If someone wants to make a public announcement, back in those days, they used to climb to the top of the mountain and recite a poem, an amazing poem. And the longer they recite and the more amazing it is, the more people used to gather and stop and then just listen to the speaker. So he captured their attention, and then he used to deliver whatever he wanted to say after capturing the attention. And that's what the Quran did with Surah Al-Adiyah. With each verse, وَالْعَادِيَاتِ دَبْحًا, when the horse was like running super fast. So people were like, whoa, okay, what happened next? And while it was running, its hoof was like running against the ground. It was running so fast that sparks were, going, like flying everywhere. And then people were like, whoa, okay, what happened next? What happened next? Quran hooked them, got their attention, and then later it's delivered the message, which is the rest of Surah Al-Adiyah, which is you need to prepare for the day of judgment. Time is running out. The punishment of the grave is very severe. So this is a tactic which even Allah has revealed in the Quran. Capture the attention of the masses first, and then slowly deliver the message of Islam. So that's something we also need to keep in mind. قولوا ما تسمعون واستغفر الله لي ولكم من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. So the first part of the khutbah, I've mentioned why it's kind of important to change with the times and spread Islam accordingly. Now the second part is going to be how. People always say why we need to do, but people don't say what we need to do usually. So let me tell you an example from my life. Right, I am a master's in computer science student, and I am super interested in virtual reality. Nowadays, when it comes to Islam, unfortunately, usually it's slow to catch up to technology. For example, a lot of times, if you see 30 years ago, 50 years ago, there were a lot of movies, but nothing about Islam. Nothing that was very few, one or two movies there were that portrayed the story of Musa alayhi salam, or other movies within the halal methods. But for each one movie that taught people about Islam, there were thousands that were about everything else. Only now, alhamdulillah, there are amazing channels like Free Quran Education that animated a lot of the Quran verses, and so many Islamic channels, The Merciful Servant, a lot. And even recently I heard someone made a kids nursery Islamic type of videos that reached I think 500 million views, and he's a millionaire now, which he's also using for other projects. Other examples are for example Tartil. It's a Quran app that allows you to when you recite any verse, it will automatically, using machine learning, point out which Quranic verse you are actually reciting, which was very helpful during Ramadan, when we are standing for Tarawih prayer, and we do not know, for example, a lot of people do not know the Quranic Arabic and its meaning. So usually people lose attention when the Tarawih prayer goes for a long time. So what I and other friends used to do, we used to hold the phone with the Tartil app open, and while the Imam was reciting the Quran, those Quranic verses with its meaning used to display on our mobile phones, and we used to follow along, and that improved the concentration and the experience of praying to Allah. We felt way more connected. So all of these, alhamdulillah, a lot of Muslims here and there, they have used these technologies in order to improve Islam and Muslims all over the world. And this was I think 30 years ago, 40 years ago, Muslims used to be the one that used to innovate everything. We used to be the top. Before US was a big thing, before US was, became the top of the food chain, before that, Spain, Cordoba, that was the capital where science, religion, education, everything, we were the ones that invented a lot of things, coffee, and numbers, but that has reduced. Now, only few people are doing such innovations. So what we need to do is we need to start using technology in order to improve Muslims' lives as a whole. And yes, I was saying, let me give an example from my life, right? I'm super interested in virtual reality, and because I believe in the next 10 years, it's going to be the future. Everyone is going to have, how we all have a laptop and a smartphone always with us. In the future, we are going to have either a virtual reality headset or an augmented reality glasses. And by the time before that becomes mainstream, I also wanted to create Islamic applications for that device. So what I'm it's kind of my life goal. You know how in Quran each word is linked, each line in a Quran can have multiple meanings. It can say something about society, it can say something about yourself, it can say something about politics. There are so many ways of, there's so many multiple interpretations. There's like volumes and volumes of tafsir just for one line. An example would be Surah Fatiha. The way it is like organized, it's perfectly balanced. The first 3 ayahs, it's like it says something about how we need to acknowledge Allah as supreme and we need to worship Him. And then the second half of the surah is about how we need to ask Him for help, what kind of help we need to ask Him, and what we also shouldn't do. There's a beautiful tafsir by Nomad Khan. It's like around 3 hours that I recommend you all to watch it. So, and this is just one surah. There are like so many surahs, so many meanings. And saying that in word format, it's amazing, yes, but it's still not enough, I feel, since we have technology nowadays which we can use to visualize. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to visualize the Quran using virtual reality and augmented reality technology. For example, nowadays we see a lot of YouTube channels. For example, The Merciful Servant. When for Surah Rahman is being recited and Allah mentions all of the blessings that He has given, they show it in a video format so that it helps people to connect with it more. So what if you can do that in virtual reality? For example, what if you're reading Surah Al-Adiyah and while you're reading, there's like literally horses running with you. So what happens, you're like literally living the Quran, right? So I'm thinking of building something like that for virtual reality so that it will help people experience the verses of the Quran in a much more connected way. Another application would be like using virtual reality as a tool for people that study the Quran, people that study tafsir. What they can do, they can like put a page of the Quran over here, put a different page of the Quran over here, and suppose the word Shams is in one surah and then the word Shams is in another surah, they can create connections and see how they are related. What the word in Shams over here means and what the word of Shams means over here. Is there any parallelism? Because Quran is full of linguistic miracles. If you're a student of linguistic studies, you will find so many connections. You know, Quran is not a linear book. It's not arranged how traditional books are, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. Instead, each of the surahs, they have their own organization, own arrangement, and multiple ways of arrangement for each theme. If you're thinking about linguistic way, this is a different arrangement. First half of the surah might say something, and then parallelly, the second half of the surah might say something else. It will complement each other. Whereas Surah Rahman, you can say, Quran says one line and then فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. This is a repetition. Why? There are multiple, tafsirs for that. What if we could all visualize that? We could, see all the connections about it. You click one verse and yes, in the laptop, for example, in Quran.com, if you click a verse, you can see its tafsir, multiple tafsirs from multiple people listed over here down. But there's too many tafsir to see, and the screen is too small. What if we could wear virtual reality and then click one verse, and a tafsir will be just displayed over here? We put multiple other verses, and there's like tafsir everywhere. And then you can kind of, it makes it way easier for you to see multiple tafsirs at the same time to understand better, to see, okay, is there any connection over here? Or is there any further meaning that we can discover about the Quran? So this is like a kind of like a life goal that I've made, to use virtual reality to spread Islam. Right now, a lot of people, alhamdulillah, mashallah, they are doing so much using the 2D format which is available, YouTube, making videos, making great, visually pleasing videos in order to spread Islam. But by the time virtual reality becomes mainstream, I would like to be one of the first few people to use that platform in order to spread Islam as well. And I would like you guys also to use the specialty that you have. Some may be very good in machine learning. Okay, think of ideas where you can also use it to spread Islam. Some may be proficient in biology. Try to find out how you can, do something for the dunya, for the deen as well, along with dunya. That makes sense. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. وأشهد لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. هذا وصلوا وسلموا على نبيكم كما أمركم بذلك ربكم فقال إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا شر ما قضيت فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك وإنه لا يذل من واليت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت. اللهم إنا نسألك من الخير كله عاجل وعاجل ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم ونعوذ بك من شر كله عاجله وعاجل ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك عبدك ونبيك ونعوذ بك من شر ما عاذ به عبدك ونبيك. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل ونسألك أن تجعل كل قضاء قضيته لنا خير. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا وأقيموا الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات سبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد. أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله
خطبة.
I didn't prepare for this khutbah.
No, it was good. It was good. It was no, it was well thought too. I like the way you structured it. It was nice. You know what I mean?
Just
No, you put effort into it. I can see that. Good. How'd you find it? How'd you find the flipboard? Or did you like want to incorporate tech and then you just sort of searched?
I watched a lot of Nomad Ali Khan videos. So some of the ideas from here and there. I just came on them.
Okay. No, it was really good. I liked it. MashaAllah. Yeah.
Jazakallah.